Hello everyone, this is the set 2 of the Scratch Fundamentals course. Today we will learn about sequences and loops, and we will be combining concepts from set 1. So, what is a sequence? A sequence is a number of instructions that are being executed in order. Let's see an example of that. First of all, let's go to Events and pick this block that says when the green flag is clicked. Then go to Motion, pick the block that says point in direction 90 and put it under the first block. Then we need to move 10 steps, and then under control we use the block that says wait 1 second, but we change 1 to 10. This here is a sequence of instructions where we execute each instruction right after the previous one. So now let's change 10 steps to 100, change the waiting time to 1 second, and point in direction 0. So now what happens when we press the green flag is the cat executes all of these instructions in order. Now let's repeat this 4 times in total, and let's change the amount of degrees here by 90 every repetition. Great. So as you can see, we first begin by looking upwards, we move 10 steps and we wait 1 second. After we're done doing that, we turn towards the right, we move 100 steps and we wait 1 second. After that, we look towards the bottom, we move 100 steps and we wait 1 second. And now we repeat this by doing a left turn. What this program will do is it will make the cat move in a square pattern. Let's see that. Perfect. If we want the cat to face towards the right at the end of the program, we can add a point in direction 90 to the end of the program. So when the program ends, the cat will be facing right. Now, the reason we use wait 1 second is because if we didn't use it, the program would run so fast that we wouldn't be able to see anything. It would be as if nothing happened. Let's see that. See? I click the green flag and the program runs so fast that we are not able to see anything. I will now show you how to install the pen extension to be able to use the cat to draw different lines and patterns on the screen. So, on your bottom left, you should see a blue button. Click on that, and it will bring you to the extension page. The second extension says pen. Click on that, and you should see a new category has been added to the top left. Let me show you how this works. So, this block that says pen down can be put right here, and what this means is that at this point, it's like we're pushing our pencil or our pen against the paper. So, if we try to move it, it will draw a line behind it, like so. So, you see that the pattern behind the cat is being drawn by the pen. If we want to erase everything here, we need to use the Erase All block. We can simply leave it not connected anywhere and just click it whenever we want to erase everything. Now, what you can do as an exercise is you can draw a pentagon or a hexagon or whatever else shape you like. This would require you to calculate the different angles you need to turn each time you start moving. Now let's suppose we wanted to draw a shape that has 10, 15 or even 20 sides. Would we have to repeat this pattern 20 times over and over again? The answer is no. And the way we can make this program much easier and simpler is by using the concept of loops. So here are the 3 types of loops that we can use in Scratch. The first one says repeat, and then it has room for a number. So as you might have guessed, what happens with this loop is all the blocks that are inside of it are executed exactly the amount of times that this number shows. So it can be 10, it can be 20, it can be 500, whatever you want. So let's see if it works in practice. So first of all, go to Events, pick this block when the green flag is clicked, then we need to repeat 10 times, and then we can do something like move 10 steps and wait 1 second in between the steps, and we can use this 3 times just to see if it works. So let's see. Perfect. So as you can see, the cat moved 3 times, 10 steps each time. So how does the repeat until loop works? So the way this works, we can go to variables. We see here that we already have a variable. If you didn't know, variables are places that we can store different kinds of values, like numbers or Boolean values, like true or false, and so on. So we have a variable here by default called my variable, and we can start by setting it to 0. Of course, we need to add this block at the beginning in order for our program to run. So in the beginning, we set my variable to 0. Then we repeat until this condition here is met. So blank equals 50 or equals 3 under the operations tab. So we can now use variables, my variable. So let's try to read this. Repeat until my variable equals 3. So what this does is it repeats all the blocks that are in here until our variable is equal to 3. Now you might ask, how will this ever be equal to 3 if we set it here to 0? So the answer is we need to change it or iterate the variable by 1 each time the loop is run. So first of all, we start with my variable equal to 0, and then we repeat until it's equal to 3, and we add 1 to this variable in every repetition. So it should run 3 times in total. Let's see if this is what is going to happen in the end. Okay, so we're now going to move 100 steps, presumably for 3 times. Let's see. Okay, this was too much. Actually, I forgot to add the wait 1 second block. And now we can remove this block. We don't need it anymore. Now let's see if that works. Perfect. So you see we moved 3 times, 100 steps each time. So now how does the forever loop work? So let's go to events, start by using this green flag block. Now the forever loop is a very special kind of loop because it runs indefinitely. It runs until the program ends. We cannot stop this loop unless we end our game, we end our program. So let's see this in practice. Let's say I wanted to move 10 steps and wait 0.5 seconds, so half a second. Let's see what happens if I put the cat here. Okay, we can see the cat starting to move. And there is no sign of it ever stopping. So it will continue moving forward unless I click the stop button and the program ends. Okay, so now all that's left to do is to remake the program that we made in the first minutes of the lesson. Only now we can use the loops to make this more efficient and shorter as a program. So let's start by going to pen and putting our pen down. Then we can go to control and repeat 4 times. If you remember, there were 3 blocks that were repeated 4 times in the first version of this program. So now let's go to motion, turn right 90 degrees, and we can't really set the point in direction because we need this to change every time the loop runs, and there is no way for us to change it every time. So we have to use this block that says when you repeat this, you need to turn and not actually set the degrees to a specific number. So now let's move 100 steps and of course wait 1 second. Okay, let's try that. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, this works just like before, but it's much shorter and much more efficient. I guess now you can try making different shapes like a pentagon, a hexagon, septagon, octagon, and so forth. Just a shape that has too many sides to just repeat this by hand. And there is a really cool way to calculate the number of degrees that you need to turn for each shape. So in here we can put the number of sides. So let's say we need 10 sides on our shape. How we calculate these degrees is we divide the degrees by the sides. So 90 divided by, not 90, 360, which is a regular circle, divided by 10, which is 36 degrees. Okay, so this is how you draw a shape with 10 sides. That is probably too big for the screen. Okay, so now let's see how we can use our forever loop in another way. Let's see how we can stop it ourselves without actually having to stop the program by hand. So first of all, let's go to events. When the green flag is clicked, variables, set my variable to 0. Now go and find the forever loop. It's under the control tab. Now use the if statement. So if, then operators, my variable equals to, let's say 3. Then we need to go to control and stop this script. So what this does is if our variable is equal to 3, then we stop this script. And stopping, as you remember, means that we end the forever loop. So this is another way to stop the forever loop. Now, let's see how that would work. Let's move 100 steps every time this loop runs. And let's also change my variable by 1. So let's increment the value of my variable by 1. So this in theory should run 3 times. So you should see the cat just move 3 times 100 steps each time. Let's see. Okay, I forgot to add the waiting time. Let's see that again. Okay, perfect. So it runs 3 times and then it finds my variable equal to 3. So then it has to stop. Otherwise, the contents of the if statement are completely ignored. Now let's make this a little more complicated. So first of all, we want to go and pick when the green flag is clicked. And then we can go to sensing and ask which direction. Okay, so our user, the person who is playing the game, should enter right or left normally. So now we can go and put the pen down again. Let's also erase whatever is already written here. Now we can go to control and repeat 4 times, not 45, 4 times. So now let's check if our answer equals to right. So if my variable, not my variable, if answer is equal to right, then we need to turn 90 degrees to the right. As you can see, this arrow shows that we are turning to the right. Now, as you can see, there is another another section in this if statement. It's called the else part. So right here, we can put whatever we want us to do if this doesn't actually happen. So if this is true, then this part of the code will be executed. But if this is not true, then the else part will execute. So for the else part, we need to turn 90 degrees but towards the left side. Okay, so if our answer is right, then we turn right. If our answer is left, we turn left. Then, as usual, we move 100 steps and we wait 1 second. Okay, so let's see that in action. It asks us which direction. So if I input right, we can see that the cat draws this by turning right. Now let's see what happens if I type anything else other than right. So let's see if I type nothing. Okay, so it goes towards the left. Our answer is not right, therefore the else part will be executed and not the if part. Okay, now as an exercise, you can modify this exact code to make the sprite draw other shapes like hexagons or octagons and so on, just to practice. Okay, now we saw how we can change the direction based on a question asked on the screen, but let's see how we can use the keyboard to make that decision for us. Okay, so when the green flag is clicked, start a forever loop. So if, then sensing key, let's say R is pressed, so let's find R, then we turn 90 degrees to the right. Okay, let's now duplicate that. Let's change R to L. Okay, and change this to turn left 90 degrees. Okay, so what happens in theory is if we press R on our keyboard, we turn right 90 degrees. If we press L on our keyboard, we turn left 90 degrees. Now we should actually use the wait 1 second block, otherwise it's going to spin really fast. Now let's try it. Okay, so now I'm holding down my R key and the cat is rotating towards the right every 1 second. So now if I stop pressing it, the cat will remain still. If I start pressing the L button, it will start moving towards the left and rotating counterclockwise. Now as an exercise, you can try to make the program to stop if you want. So let's say I press the S button, the program has to stop, and you can also make it move towards other directions. So let's say you want to move it upwards or downwards, you can do that the same way. But if you want to make it even more interesting, you could try to add combinations of keys. So let's say I want to move towards the right, I now have to press M and R at the same time, or hold M and then press R. Okay, so for the last part of this lesson, let's see how we can create a random number between two other numbers that we set. So let's go to events. When the green flag is clicked, start a forever loop. Now set my variable, or you can name this whatever you want. Let's say we want to name this random. Okay, now we have to go to operators and pick random, let's say from 20 to 30. Then we wait 1 second and then we say this value. So say and then random. So what should happen is we set the variable random to pick a number between 20 and 30. We wait 1 second and then we say whatever this here is. So let's see if that's what happens. 29, 30, 23, 30 again, 27. As you can see, there are random numbers between these two values that we set. And you can actually remove the variable altogether. So the more efficient way to do this would be like that. So you would just say the random number and then wait. Okay guys, so that was it for this lesson. You can try and do some of the exercises to get used to these concepts and Scratch in general, and I'll see you on the next one.